Hello and welcome to exercise 15 and rendering the animation. Okay, so to begin, if we come up here to the render tab, and there's a couple of things we need to change. So this is the image size that will be rendered. It's currently set to 50%. Okay, I'm just going to press and hold the left mouse button and drag that to 100%. Okay, that will give us a full size image of 1920 by 1080. That's a full size image per frame. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is come down to output and select a destination folder. Okay, so we're just going to select a destination folder. I'm just going to select this one here and create my rendered images folder in here. Press enter. I can just select this folder and accept. Okay. Now, if we scroll down here to the sampling section, just to be clear that the output folder is where all the images will be saved to, and you will be opening up these later to change the format to or render out to a video format. So it's important to save these in a separate folder on their own so they can be just quickly accessed. Okay, and if I come down here to sampling, okay, so we have the preview set to 32 and the render set to 128. Okay, so the render is the quality, or the render size is the quality of the images that we render out. The preview is at 32, so if I just press 0 here and press Z and just render. Okay, this is currently set to 32, and when it reaches 32 samples, that's the quality of the render. The higher you set this output render, the longer it takes to render each frame. Okay, so I'm going to leave mine at 128 and just render it out at that. You can change some of the options as you get more familiar with Blender, but for the moment it's a good idea to leave it maybe between 60 and 100 or 120. Okay, and next, when you have your render samples set up and your image size and your output folder selected, it's just a matter of coming up here to animation. But before you do that, I'm just going to switch back to solid. I'm just going to press Control S and save that. Okay, so just before we go there, actually, the image editor, so you can have it rendering in the background, so you keep your UI, or you can have it render in a new window and therefore you can continue using Blender to do other stuff, or image editor, or full screen. In that case, you won't be able to use Blender. You will have to wait until, well, actually the only one you can use, keep UI, is basically you can use Blender. The rest of them are either in the background or a full screen or a new window, and you can't close Blender, so it's not a big deal. Okay, so when that's done, you just left click animation. Okay, and that'll render out all the animation to your output folder. Okay, so I'm just going to stop that by pressing escape. Okay, and I've done this earlier, so I'm just going to continue on. So what I'd like to do is just press Control S, save my progress, and I'm just going to begin a new project or a new file because it keeps it separate from here, or from this project file, in case I need to come back and make any changes. I don't want the video editor being disrupted, so I'm just going to go up here and select file, new, and reload startup file. Okay, and that brings me into a new setup. So I'm just going to come up here to the scene, or sorry, not the scene, but the screen layout options, and I'm going to choose video editing. Okay, and that brings me into this screen layout. Okay, and what you can do is just save it as your video editing if you wish. I'm just going to skip that for the moment. So next thing is to come down here to your video sequence editor, and this is the header for it here. This is where you add your images. So if I just click add and select image, I can just quickly go to the folder that I have the images saved in, which is this one here. If I press A, I can just add the entire image strip. Okay, and that just brings all my images in to the video sequence editor. Okay, and next thing I want to do is change a couple of options. So if we come up here to the graph editor and switch from the graph editor to the properties editor, a couple of important things so we can render out these images to a video format. Okay, well, first off, I'm going to just bring up the resolution to 100. So we can have a better look at that. Okay. And next thing I want to do is switch from, or left click in the render presets and change this to HDTV 720. Okay, and that just gives me a 1280 by 720 image size. Okay, the next thing to do is choose an output folder. So I'm just going to scroll down here, and again, this will be your video output. So select the folder, or select somewhere to save it. So I'm just going to pick the desktop for the moment. Choose a new, click this icon here just to create a new folder, and I'm just going to call it video output. Press enter, double click, and accept. Okay, and I'm just going to scroll down here again and left click on PNG and change this to a movie type, and I'm going to choose XVID for this example. Okay, and I'm going to open up the encoding panel, and I'm going to switch format to, again, I'm going to use XVID, and I'm just going to come down here to the audio codecs and choose MP3. Now, we're not currently going to use any sound with this. It's just going to be images converted to a video, but if you were adding sound, you would have to have a codec selected. So I'm just going to use a MP3 as a default one. Okay, and with all those selected, so you have your output folder, etc., etc., you are ready to animate. If you would like to add sound, it's as simple as just selecting add sound, and it's like any video editor really. You can just mess around with it, see what you come up with, but for the moment I'm just going to leave it at that. And when you're ready to create the video, you can just hit the animation and it will render out the video, and you can play it in any video player really. VLC is a online video player that you can download for free. But otherwise, that's going to do it for this tutorial. So thanks for watching. Goodbye.